Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Good morning and welcome to the Ordinary Daily version of the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. It is Monday, May 6th. We're 85 days away. Actually, is that true? That is not true. That number is off by a bunch. I had to check my thing here. It's, I think we're like 83 days. I don't know. I just subtracted 1 from Friday's sign. I should have subtracted 3. It's called 5:30 in the morning. That's what happens, guys. Apologize for that. Maybe I'm just mentally, subconsciously trying to hold back the days, I guess. But, yeah, that's so really 83 days. See, I can't even this is what happens when, should I even be podcasting? It should be like when you're mentally asleep. I think maybe you shouldn't be podcasting. But, I don't know, I got my coffee. We're gonna wake up here in just a minute. I think. Hey, what a great weekend. Finishing up the Ordinary Marathon. Man, you guys were so impressive out there. You really were. And I know I did a little podcast with Stephanie over the weekend. We finished the race. We went out with our friends after the race and had a good chat about the race, about our plans, some of our plans for next year. And then we started arguing over Game of Thrones, and Stephanie's like, "We got to do a podcast." So we did it. Just kind of off the cuff. We've got a lot to talk about today, I guess. First, the Ordinary Marathon. You guys, man, so many people are inspirational. All the things that you guys did. Brian Yarbrough yesterday, man. A dude just decides, hey, I'm going to start running and keep running until I can't run a 16-minute mile. 50 miles later, he finally slows down a bit and stops. Unless anyone else thinks they can contend with 90 miles on 10 days, Brian, you're going to be our most miles winner for the race. Congratulations. Most inspirational. I almost want to give it to you for that too. After that run, but you did win a one of our raffles during the week, and I think we're going to give that one to Debbie Early, whose dog Max. We ran a good portion of the race for Max in Max's honor, and so many of you guys posted Max miles. And Debbie wrote a post yesterday that was just nice. It was just touching to see that she, it's funny because when I decided that we were going to do the race in Max's honor, and I think some people just be like, oh yeah, do the race in Max's honor. But my initial thought was, Debbie's my friend, and I don't want her to think that I would use her pet as a marketing device to get people for the race, which wasn't the case. I was truly, I truly appreciated everything she's done for us, and I really wanted to do this in Max's honor. And I didn't want her to see it that way, that I would be doing it for the sake of marketing the race. And she was just so appreciative, and her post yesterday was kind of very touching for me. So I think we're going to give her most inspirational, and it's actually fitting because the prize for most inspirational social media post is a signed copy of Mike Riley's book. We had Mike on the podcast, and I cornered him into donating a copy of the book, and he was super great, gracious about it. Oh yeah, I'll donate it. You guys know, if you've heard Mike or have heard him on the podcast or have heard him elsewhere, you know how energetic he can be. And he had absolutely no problem, he was excited to donate a copy of the book. And what better person to get this gift, because I know Debbie's kind of been thinking about maybe, she's done a triathlon before. She's thinking about Ironman, and man, this, for some reason, this week, the gifts lined up perfectly. All the giveaways lined up perfectly. And I think we really got the right things into the right people's hands. So even the raffles, you think they're random. I will say that sometimes if, I'm not going to give I'm not going to give a gift to someone who I know isn't going to want it. So if it's, if it's one book or another, I'm not going to give you a book on marathon running if it's not in your in your future. So I do kind of move the gifts around at times, try to get appropriate things in appropriate people's hands, but it all just worked out this time. So, what a great race. You guys were just amazing. Amazing. And we're looking forward to next year already. I'm wearing my medal today, my ordinary marathon medal. We're looking forward to next year. We've raised close to $1,000, I think, for the SAM Fund. We'll be handing over the check later this week. I got to get in touch with Samantha Watson and set that up. I know we covered this a little bit yesterday with our YouTube video, but thank you to Nick Cumbo, his wife Sarah, Laura Stebbins over at Ascension Multisport. Man, what a job you guys did. Showing up at our 5K, setting up a little table, handing out the medals as people went through the finish line. It's great. It was a great event. I wish it wouldn't have rained. I think we would have gotten a lot more people to show up, but man, it was, I'm super excited about it. People had Fleet Feet. What a great job. What a great job at our 5K yesterday. The whole setup was wonderful. The big finish line, you guys will see some of the pictures. The big finish line that they set up, the timing mechanisms, everything was all perfect. They went out and they marked the course. There's a lot of turns in the course. But it was marked very well. Nobody got lost. Perfect job all around. Can't say enough about it. So, so now we move on. I gotta ship all your gifts and everything, all your raffle prizes and all that stuff. That'll be done this week. So if especially if you're early in the week and you won the raffle, hang on, it's coming. It's definitely coming. So we really appreciate that. Training. I didn't even think about what I'm going to say about training this week, but I've been in a pretty good mode lately. Ever since I did that run in the park, Friday. What did I do Friday? I went for a swim. I think I did a bike Friday. I can't remember. I can't remember back to Friday. Saturday, I tried to do my long run. I wanted to get my 26.2 miles in for the ordinary marathon. I did. Saturday's run sucked. It was raining. I had to do it on the treadmill. So I did 9.5 miles. And don't ask me where I got that number from. And again, with the treadmill, I feel like sometimes it's so easy just to quit. And I did what's really weird about it this time, and if you guys are out there and you guys are treadmill runners, let me know if you guys have ever experienced this. Was that a little while ago, I did a 3-mile run, and I did it at an 8.5 minute pace, 8.5 minute miles. And my legs felt great the whole way through. I mean, I started getting, fatigued, not fatigued, but winded. Running, the treadmill was set to 7 miles an hour, something like that. And Saturday when I was doing my 9.5 miles, I get to mile 2 and I'm running 5.5 miles an hour because I'm trying to go slow just to save energy and conserve. And again, I try to listen to some of the professionals out there, the coaches and stuff. And one of the mantras that you hear, people do their fast runs too slow and their slow runs too fast. Meaning, all right, I'm doing a long run. In practice, I should be running it. In training, I should be running it slow. So I'm trying to kind of force myself to conserve energy and run it slow. And around mile 2, I'm feeling like crap. And I don't know if it's a mental thing or my brain is telling me that I don't feel good and I should slow down, or I should, it's just miserable. Or if I really do feel fatigued. Now, I talked to some people about it. One of the things that came up was that I had done leg day the day before, lifting, strength training, and maybe that had an effect on it. And I can see that. I did a bike ride the day before. So maybe that has something to do with it. Another thing is I try not to make, there's a fine line between analyzing this stuff and making excuses for yourself. And I always lean towards that making excuses. I don't want to be the guy that's making excuses. So, but there's certainly a certain logic. There's a logic in, hey, you did squats and lunges yesterday, and you did a bike ride yesterday that you pushed really hard for an hour and 20 minutes. So, wouldn't it make sense that your legs would be fatigued? Yeah, maybe. maybe. So I'm not going to kill myself over the 9.5 miles. I'm going to use it as sort of a jumping off point. I think one of the things that I realized, and one of the things I'm going to try to do going forward, is, when you have race day for a marathon, for a half marathon, for a triathlon, an Ironman, you do your 7 days of tapering, or whatever it is, 14, whatever it is, and then you eat right, you focus on diet, you wake up early, you're refreshed, you're ready to go. I do not treat my long runs like I do my race days. So I'm like way off. I don't think about sleep. I don't think about carving up the night before. I don't think about paying attention to my diet. I just treat it as a normal day and get up, and whenever I can squeeze it in, I run. I shouldn't do that. I should treat my training like the race as much as possible. So and one of the other things I live by is when you're having trouble with a certain aspect of training, you have to kind of set yourself up a little bit for success. So when you're starting to slack in areas, you have to give yourself the best opportunity to succeed. And I don't think I'm doing that. So I think this weekend's long run, I'm sort of going to I'm not going to taper, but I'm going to sort of treat like a race. And I might, it's always weather dependent whether I'm going to do it Saturday or Sunday, but I'm going to carb up the night before. I'm going to try to get some good sleep. I'm going to get up nice and early, and try to be ready for this thing and attack it almost like I attacked the hill run last week. I don't know if it's the same mindset you could take, to, like a 3-hour run versus a 1-hour hill workout. I don't know if that works necessarily, but the mindset should be on succeeding and getting through the run and seeing where you're at and trying to make it through. And I think that, I'm trying my best not to be on the treadmill. That's another thing. I think it's just a big factor. It's one thing when you're in your basement and you're at mile 9.5 and you feel like you're done and you just want to quit. It's another thing to be 3 miles from your house and be like, my legs hurt. I feel like I'm going to stop, because you got to walk those miles home. So I think, that's a key too, just to get out and do my run outside, set myself up for success. And that's what we're going to look at over the weekend for this long run. And we'll see how that goes. As for this week, it's same sort of setup as every week for me. I have a couple of scheduling issues. I do want to get out and see Samantha Watson and don't make our donation for the Sam Fund for the race. So that that'll just be a couple hours of my day. I have some just some personal things I need to take care of during the week, but nothing really to impede training. So I've one of the things I need to do is sit down and kind of make out my schedule for the week. I'll be doing that today. Monday, upper body strength training followed by yoga. I did a lot of running the last few days. I need a bike. I didn't do a long bike this weekend. So I have to make my decision. I think today's going to be a shorter bike, but I'm going to try to get something in during the week. Again, check the weather and figure that out. And we'll see how it goes from there. But I'm kind of looking forward to it. Whatever I said, 83 days, whatever I have left. Those days, it's starting to get, that number is starting to get not worrisome, but it's getting heavier. Every day that I write the number, it feels a little bit like more realistic. Reality is closing in. That in less than 3 months, I'm going to be on a bike on the hills of Lake Placid, and I better be ready. So hopefully we're doing enough work and putting the time in to get this thing done. And every time I write this redemption race thing, it's like I do think about it. I think about, I think about what it felt like to be on the back end of that first loop last year, and my brain just telling me, you're not, the reality is you're not making it this year. You're not going to be able to get around that second time. My back is screaming at me. I'm stopping at the water stops and talking to people, just the volunteers and people coming over and being like, oh, you can do it, but I didn't have it. I knew I didn't have it. This year, hopefully things will change. Hopefully things will change, and we'll get that redemption done. I think we're gonna. We're on a good path, and I just keep it up. Keep up those hill workouts. We're doing hills tomorrow, by the way. Again, if it doesn't rain. What do we got? I think that's it really for today. Maybe we do a little Game of Thrones portion. I know we've been talking about Game of Thrones. If you guys are sick of my Game of Thrones, you could just tell me in the comments. I'll stop. So, again, let's talk spoilers here. If you haven't seen last night's episode, you can shut me down for the day and go get your training on. But in general, I am kind of done. I feel like, I'm just kind of done. This season is just a really big disappointment for me. Last night's episode, it was like an hour of crap. The aftermath of the battle and all the people care about is who's going to be the next king or queen or whatever. It's driving me nuts. It's like a soap opera. They've changed my favorite show into a soap opera. And it's bothering me. It's bothering me. And then there was a spark, right? It was an hour of fluff and crap and Jaime Lannister and Brienne and all, just soap opera. Just terrible. And then the dragon gets shot, right? And we're watching it, and I'm kind of like tuning out a little bit here too, because like I was so bored. But then the dragon gets shot, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, here's some life, here's something going on, here's what we're used to. And I don't know. It's funny because they made those. I forget what they call them. Those big guns that they shoot the dragon with. But last night before the episode, I'm like, they only have that one gun, and they just keep showing it in the intro. Why didn't they make a whole bunch of these guns? Why by now they should have made tons of them. And sure enough, they did. They made tons of these guns. They're all over the place, and they shot the dragon with one. Why was I guess Jon Snow wasn't around. I don't know. I'm just wondering why wasn't he on the? I guess that's kind of a stupid question. But here's, I think for you guys who are triathletes, I think the most unbelievable portion of the show was that Varys got off of the boat and actually swam the shore. There's no way that dude swam the shore. There's just no way. I don't think he's been training in the swim. Maybe he's been training in the swim, but there's no way he made it to shore. He's the most out of shape guy I've ever seen. And you never see him like running or doing. He just stands there in his robe, and he doesn't do anything. I wonder why Cersei let them in, and she killed the one girl. Why didn't they had? You have your adversary there, and you have all these giant guns on the wall. Why don't you try to kill the one person? You're letting the person leave. The one thing that can bring you down here is a dragon. There's only one person in the world. Well, there may be two, but really, there's one person that can ride that dragon, and she's right in front of your face. And your giant guns are on the wall, and you're letting her walk away. And it's not like she's a forgiving person. Like she's like an honorable person that's gonna not try to stab someone in the back, right? You're not talking about they basically just said she was a monster. And I'm just shocked that they let Daenerys just walk away and go, because she's going to get her dragon and turn around and just light it up. Here's my prediction. Here's my prediction though for the ending. I think that Arya is going to go into King's Landing and start doing her face changing stuff. And there's going to be one of two scenes. One scene will be either she'll kill someone like Cersei and take her face, and either rule as Cersei, but with Arya's personality, She could also do that with Daenerys too. There's been a lot of talk about killing Daenerys now too. So could you see Arya's seeing what's going on with the whole power struggle, and all of a sudden Daenerys is starting to act like her dad, right? The Mad King. Arya kills Daenerys, takes her face, rules as Daenerys. She doesn't want to be a lady, but that's kind of like the irony of the show. That would be kind of a twist. And the other thing that could happen is like she kills someone like Cersei, takes her face, right? And then either Jaime Lannister or Jon Snow shows up and sees Cersei and kills her, even though it's really Arya. One of those things I think is bound to happen. Gotta happen. And I almost think, and again, we watch the nerd shows, and you don't hear a lot of the nerds talking about stuff like this. And I kind of wonder, they get so in detail and in depth, and I think they get so upset that their theories don't come to pass. This show this season, last night we were talking about it, and I'm like, I think the problem is you've had 7 seasons of build-up, and now you're trying to wrap things up in 6 episodes, which was a stupid decision. Whoever made that decision to unload however many millions of dollars into 6 episodes and try to wrap up a season that took 7 years to build. And then I honestly think that they just started with, they're like, all right, here's the map. Here's where we are today. This is where we need to get to. Draw the line. How are we going to do that? And they just, in some ways, they just had to do the most expedient thing, And they've wasted episodes. They wasted the first 2 episodes on just trying to get the overall mood, right? Resetting the mood. I think last night was a very largely wasted episode, setting that post-battle tone. I don't. The one when they burned all the bodies from the battle. By the way, we were trying to do the count. I mean, there's like 10 to 15 bodies on each kind of wooden pyre, I guess, that they were lighting on fire. There was no way there was enough of those things. Now, Stephanie and I originally thought that maybe the whites, when the White Walkers get killed, that all of the whites, they just kind of like turn to dust. But I don't really know if that's true. I think they just kind of like die and turn into like a bag of bones or whatever they are. And then there was that one Dothraki soldier who died and then was raised, and they showed him on the pyre. So all the bodies, everyone that died, they must have been on there, right? And they cleaned up the field nicely. I mean, Jesus, it seems like it took them one day to clean up, 30,000 bodies or whatever, and however hundreds of thousands of whites or whatever there was. I mean, that's a good cleanup crew. However many, I mean, it also seemed like there were more people left than I thought. How many people can fit in the Winterfell keep? I don't know. I thought, they said something about having half of the Unsullied left. Really? No way. Anyway, so they're set up for the last 2 episodes here. I do think that, Arya's going to play a big part. And she didn't really do too much this past episode. But we'll see. We'll see. That's my wrap up. That's my initial take. One of the things I realized too is that when you watch the show and you put a lot of emotional kind of attention into it, you get a little over analytical. And not only that, but then I wake up on Monday morning after watching it and I don't really have it all. It takes me a couple days for it to settle before my opinions actually flush themselves out. And there's like my initial reaction versus my longer term opinion. And my initial reaction is this season's been a real disappointment. I'm a little tired of it. I'm just a little tired of it. And that's it. So let's get to training, guys. Let's get back to training. Again, thank you guys for participating in the Ordinary Marathon. Thank you for all your help, all your support. I don't know. I appreciate everyone that gets involved. And I think, we're going to make a difference. And I talked to Samantha Watson a while back about, finding out kind of like where the money goes. And I think we're going to do something like that. I don't know exactly how we're going to do that. But we're going to see exactly how we make a difference, I think. We're going to try to do something like that. I'm going to talk to her a little bit more this week when we head over there. So with that, guys, have a great day today. I feel like I've kind of brought it down with the whole Game of Thrones thing. I'm just really upset about it, and I really need to talk about it. You guys are like my my therapist, because I don't want to shell out $125 an hour. Anyway, it's probably a cheap therapist now. Anyway, listen, have a good day, guys. If you're training for something, get after it. Make those plans, stick to them, attack it, and remember, every day's an ordinary day. It takes you to make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.
Remember to like our video and subscribe to our channel.